I absolutely love nasturtiums. They're one of the first flowers I ever grew from seed, and I was so impressed by how lush and fast they grew and how easy they were. I remember doing my very first hanging basket when I was living in Brighton outside my front door, and I went off on holiday and I thought, oh, they're probably going to die, these plants, and not work out. And I came back and the whole basket was filled with these big green, fresh green nasturtium leaves and these emerging little orange flowers. Even while I'd been away, they'd bushed up so much. They are so versatile. So let's get into the reasons why you should, even if you're not a beginner. Anybody, everybody should grow nasturtiums in there. Even if you're a flower gardener, a vegetable gardener, everybody should have nasturtiums, and here are the reasons why. Well, I pretty much covered the first reason in the introduction, and that is that they're just so easy to grow. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or a complete beginner, these little hardy plants are perfect. They're just guaranteed to come up, and once they start growing, they spend the whole summer just filling up the space where they are. So they'll just drop more seeds and grow more and just spread out, their tendrils spread out everywhere all over the pathways and things. And they're just absolutely great. They thrive in poor soil. They don't require any care. I mean, you can minimally. Sometimes the leaves get really large and you might just want to chop the bigger ones off because they create a little canopy so that you can't see the flowers underneath. And of course you want to see the flowers. So I do occasionally just trim off those bigger leaves. But you don't need to do that. You just plant the seeds directly into the ground once the frost has passed, and then you water them regularly and they will just come up. And once you have them established in your patch, in your garden, they will come back stronger and stronger each year. Each time they flower, they will drop more and more of those nasturtium pods. They're seeds, but they look like a tiny little knuckle, like a fist, and they drop onto the ground, and then those are what they'll overwinter in the ground, and then they'll come up again as a new plant in spring. And they're just guaranteed, once you get them going, they will fill your garden. And once you have them established in your garden, they will come back every year with a vengeance. They'll just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So you really only have to establish them and grow them successfully once, and you'll have them forever. I think they are just a magnificent looking plant. And on that note, you can pick them as a cut flower. A lot of people don't think of that because they're kind of tangly and the stems seem as though they might be too short. They do snap easily, but you can cut them into certainly a posy like shape. And here you can see I've just recycled these beer cans because I realised I actually quite like the cover of these beer cans. So I just use a tin can opener to take off the top, and they are the perfect shape and size for these little nasturtium posies. And of course, I really like the colour scheme, all goes together as well. And so you can see they make a fabulous cut flower as well. And you can, like I did with sweet peas, you can either just cut the flower or you can go further back and cut the whole tendril, depending on how big a display of flowers you are going for. And because of the way they trail, you can put them in hanging baskets, as I said earlier, and they kind of just trail down, and they just add more elegance, and they sort of disrupt that shape, when people do those sort of stiff looking hanging baskets where you can see the basket and everything like that. The nasturtium will come down and hang elegantly down like a chandelier and just cover and cloak the shape of the hanging basket and just disrupt that boring globe shape. Now they will spray and spill over things, over raised beds. If you want to cover your raised beds, they'll spill onto the paths. But you can move the tendrils as well away from the paths. If you don't want them on the paths, you can just move them round and they'll behave. Then they'll just drop their seeds back where you just push them to, and then they'll just confine themselves to that area. So I think they're quite a magical plant. I think it's a nice lower layer when you've got your layers high up, and then you need your mid layer, and then you've got this lovely lower layer. Or as I say, you can put them in a hanging basket, you have them as cut flowers. I mean, you can just have them everywhere. They are stunning and they keep coming. They are so abundant. They just keep flowering and flowering and flowering and producing seed pods and flowering. And so they go on. Anyway, number 3, the third reason for growing. I mean, it just gets better. I'm telling you, it really does get better. The third reason for growing them is because they're edible. I mean, this plant that you grow in your veg patch and everything for decoration is actually edible as well. You can eat the flowers and the leaves. Flowers have a slight peppery and spicy flavour that enhance all sorts of dishes from, salads to pestos. I made this pesto earlier just to show you, and it's very nice because you get the little touches of orange in there. And I don't know, I felt like I probably should put some chili in, but I will add my recipe, my nasturtium recipe. I'll add that to my blog, which is on my website, so go and check that out. And you can use it as a dip, you can put them in soups, you can use them for garnish, you can put them in salads. I mean, you can even use them on a cake. They're so attractive. The seeds, the seeds can even be pickled and used as a substitute for capers. So how about that? I mean, it's just such a versatile plant. Growing nasturtiums means you'll always have something you can cook up, whether it be, like I say, a pesto, whether you want to bulk out your salad leaves. It's just absolutely brilliant. And there's another way you can use it. You can actually dry them and use them like a herb as well. You can dry the flowers and the leaves, and you can use them like a dried herb in winter when there's not much else about. You put them on your salad dressings or your winter vegetables or whatever. Put them in soups, whatever you want, but they can be dried and used as a dried herb as well. How about that? Does it get any better? Yes, it does. They are also a pest control. Now, one of the reasons you nearly always, especially in Victorian times and before, would see nasturtiums in a vegetable garden, a cottage garden in particular, was to attract the pests. And I learned this in my garden in Brighton when one day I realised all my nasturtiums were entirely covered with caterpillars. And at first I thought, oh no, this is terrible. There's an invasion. But then I realised that's precisely why vegetable gardeners in particular grow nasturtiums, because they do attract that cabbage white butterfly that would normally eat your cabbages, but is now more attracted to your nasturtium leaves. And here you can see the cabbage white eggs on my nasturtiums, which I picked today. And I found at least 2 leaves that I was turning over that had all these eggs on, and I suspect there were a lot more as well. So this means they're not going to be nibbling my other plants, which is the main reason nasturtiums were grown in the cottage garden as a complementary plant, companion plant, to protect other vegetable crops from the cabbage white. Now, another great use for nasturtiums is that they are obviously rich in nutrients. So you can pull up those leaves and put them in your liquid fertilizers. And, you can put them on your compost heap. They're going to enrich your compost. So they are good for that. But they also pick up compacted soil. So they're really good for soil structure to improve soil health. They have really deep roots that help break up the compacted soil, providing more aeration and drainage, of course. And on that note, they're also a great pollinator as well. The bees love nasturtiums. Additionally, nasturtiums are also known to be a good green manure plant. This means that they can be turned over at the end of the season when they've died, or when they're not looking so great. You can just turn them over into the soil and mush them down, and they provide a really highly nutritious organic matter for your soil. This will enrich the soil, improve the soil structure, and it will just benefit the overall health of your garden. So there you have it. There are the reasons why you should be growing nasturtiums. They're absolutely great for beginners. They are beautiful, can be used as a cut flower. They're edible. You can even dry them to preserve them and make them last longer for those winter flavours. They attract the cabbage white larvae, the caterpillars, which would devastate your other crops, so why not let them devastate your nasturtiums instead? And they improve the soil structure and can be used as a fertilizer and green manure. What more can you get from a plant? It's absolutely a wonderful plant. It's magic. Go and grow it, or go and get yourself some seeds, or certainly think about having it in your garden next year if you don't have it this year. And if you have it this year, have a look at it again and see it with renewed eyes. What a magical plant it is. And you know who else thought it was a magical plant? Monet. He used to paint it, and he had it growing all over the pathways in his garden in Giverny, just outside Paris. Anyway, I hope this video helped. If it did, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell, etc. I have my basil pesto video. I'll link that below, and obviously my nasturtium pesto recipe will be on my website. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.